Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome to this live birth chart reading session. Hello, hi Chelsea, welcome. Yes, happy Friday, everybody. It is Venus Day, and we have the wonderful Venus, the beautiful Venus in the sign of Capricorn. So, we're here to do some live readings. And I have, is it Yvette? Is that how your name is pronounced? We have Yvette up first, but just to let you know how this works, if you're interested, the instructions are in the description box. And the ways in which you can book a reading with me live is by following those instructions. So you go to the PayPal link and you book it via there. And it is $25 for 10 minutes, or you can ask me a question for $20 today. Hi, Yvette. You said, yes, I pronounced it correctly. Okay, great. And yes, it is only via PayPal. So that is what is available in order to book a reading. And hello to COPPELXIA. Hi, welcome to you. Welcome to Cav. And Mr. Whirlwolf, hello to you. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Scorpio Stylist, Scorpio Stylist of the Stars. I quite like that name. I like it. So yes, everyone's starting to join. So what I'm going to do, Yvette, is I'm going to get your reading ready. I also want to just mention with this that there have been a couple of people who have asked, they want their information hidden, and that's completely fine. But if that is the case, you just need to make sure that whenever you are submitting your booking, so when you're submitting payment via PayPal, that you're also placing I need your time of birth, your place of birth, and your date of birth. Okay, I need those three major things. And then that means I can crop that information. So I can crop it out at the top of the chart. But of course, if that's not something you request, then it's just like, okay, it's going to be presented. Okay, just to let you know, just to be clear about that. Okay, hello to Soulful Sessions. You are tuning in from South Africa. Well, welcome to you. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I also have Anastasia. You have booked. Thank you. Though, just for you, Anastasia, I do need, like I said, I need the time of birth, the place of birth, and your date of birth. Okay, I need those very important components. And I have you booked in, Yvette. You're first. So I believe you want to know about your life purpose, which we're going to get into. Up to you. It's if you like. I mean, if that's something, if you're comfortable with sharing your birth information, you can do so via the live chat. Or of course, if you are someone who, for example, you missed putting that information in your booking. So when you sent payment, you can always email me in that way. Okay. But of course, you do need to make sure that the email lines up with your PayPal. But yeah, feel free. You can also let me know in the chat. Just place it in there. And we have J. Paul, but this is for Mark. Okay. Mark Ryan has also booked. Okay, Anastasia, I've got yours. We'll see how many we get booked in for this session today. I kind of like to get everybody in first and then we go. So that is the 13th of April, 1958. Okay, 1:54 a.m. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mark Ryans. We've got you booked in. We also have, now, if my pronunciations of anybody's name is incorrect, I do apologize, but is it Mittal? And I'm just going to take down for Mark Ryan, life purpose question. And I'm just writing things down just so I get everything. Okay. Then yes, we have Mittal. And I'm also checking we have, oh, let me actually see here. We have Shaya. That's 10 minutes. Okay, let me have a look. Mittal, can I please have your birth information? So in order to do this, I'm going to need your time of birth, your place of birth, and your date of birth. And that's for a question then. You need to also let me know what your question is. Okay. Thank you for booking. And Shaya? In the AM? Okay. Okay, so I need, hello Isabella, welcome. So Mittal, as I say, I need your time of birth, place of birth, date of birth. And Shaya, I also need your date of birth. I need that. Okay. I have your time of birth, I have your place of birth, but I need your date of birth as well. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 booked in. 5 booked in. So if I can get that information, thank you so much, Shaya. Thank you. Is 8th of February, is that right? Is that your birthday, the 8th of February? Oh wow, snap. That's I was also born on the 8th of February. I was born 1992. But happy birthday to you for Thursday. Hope you have a great birthday, Shaya. Thank you for sending. And then we also have Brittany. So I'm going to do 8 today. 8's going to be the maximum. Okay, so as soon as we get to 8, we're going to change the title. And we're going to be fully booked for this particular session. So Brittany, hi Brittany, thank you for booking. Thank you, Shay. Yes, birthday twins. Woohoo! And yes, Brittany, is Brittany here? Because I need your, unless you've already let me have a look. I need your place of birth, time of birth, and your date of birth. So let me just go through. Let me just check I've got everyone. Yvette, you are first. Got your information successfully. Anastasia, successful. Mark Ryan, successful. Metal, we still need, still looking for Metal. I'm still needing, are you there? You still there? I still need your birth information. I do apologize, by the way, if my computer is a little bit shaky, because it's on a book just to help with the heat. Anyway, thank you so much, Metal. So and thank you, Brittany, as well. Perfect. So I'm just going to take down your information. Excuse me. You want advice on the year, okay? Okay. And then we have Brittany. So Shea, success. Okay, 5. And it's Brittany. And it's 10 minutes. Yep. Okay. Yep. So Brittany's 10 minutes, Shea 10 minutes, Metal question mark question, Anastasia 10 minutes, and Yvette question. So in order to book a reading, the instructions, Isabella, are in the description box. So what you do is you go to the PayPal link and you have 2 options between asking a question for $20 or 10 minutes for $25. And then we'll be able to read your chart live. How fun, how exciting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we have 6 of you booked in. May possibly stop there for this session. You know. And just while we wait to see if anybody else joins. Next week I'm going to be away. You love live readings versus recorded chart readings. Yeah. I think there can be, you know, pros and cons to both ways, you know, but I like that perspective. That's, yeah. Thank you, Libra, for sharing your perspective. Live readings can be really fun and interesting. And of course, what I also want to say with this is to make it clear, these readings they're a lot quicker, you know, because we have a very short period of time, but it's also about me looking at major sort of points that stand out to me and reading from that. But then naturally, if you do want a much more in-depth reading, much more thorough, then you can book a reading with me via my website, hannahselsewhere.com. I offer live consultations, which are 1 hour long, but then I also I do offer pre-recorded readings, because pre-recorded readings can be useful in that way. Maybe the time schedules and things like that don't really align. And then what can be tricky about live readings is, of course, time, timings of things. So if I was doing a live reading in the evening, that might not align with people in the Southern Hemisphere, who live in Australia or New Zealand, for instance. They would just be waking up, having their coffee, going to work. So yeah, that's the thing about pre-recorded. They can be useful in that way, and you can always I think with pre-recorded readings you can also listen to them back. And what I've also found, just to finish this point, just to talk about it a little bit, is clients who have booked pre-recording readings with me a couple of years ago, they have emailed me a couple of years later then saying, I've re-listened to this reading and it's so much more relatable to me today, and I'm so glad that I have it here because it's even more resonating with me. And I just think, wow. So yeah, I find that super, super interesting, especially if you're doing a Saturn return reading for someone, right? Because the Saturn return is going to be a lot more prominent after the Saturn return occurs, around the time you're 30. Anyways, that's just a little something about pre-recorded readings that can be helpful. But like you say, Libra, it can be useful to have live readings because you can really take the time to explore the chart with somebody else, and then they can ask questions, and then you can really pull a lot from that. And then everybody's so different. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the event, because we're going to stick to the amount that we have this evening, and we're going to begin. Okay, I'm going to edit the title, and then we're going to begin. Thank you so much to everyone who has booked this evening. Thank you. I'll just edit the title. So, fully booked. Let's see what we can pull out of these readings this evening. Fully booked. Save. It's just saving. Okay. Hello, Sandra. Welcome. And just hello to everyone who is tuning in, who's watching along. I find it really interesting as well, because even if the reading isn't for you, it still can be helpful to maybe listen and kind of see, I wonder, what is this astrologer doing? What's the kind of path that this astrologer is going down, or what's this astrologer exploring within the chart? So it can be quite educational too, right? All right, so I'm just going to share your chart. There we are. Okay, you bet. All right, so I'm just going to take a moment to look at your chart, and your question then, Yvette, was regarding life purpose. So let's get into it. Okay. So let's try and explore this. Let's think about how, Yvette, the most, I think, important part of this is how Pluto has been transiting your 10th house of purpose, of career, vocation, your life's work, your life's path for the last 16 years or so. And what has really been occurring for you is that of transformation and renewals, these deaths and these rebirths, these periodic deaths and rebirths when it comes to these areas. So I think a lot of this has to do with you recognizing your personal power and strength and resilience when it comes to such areas. I mean, what could very well be coming up for you, especially given the fact that, so we have right now in the sky, we have Mars and Venus in Capricorn. We also have Mercury in Capricorn. And that means that these planets have also been transiting your 10th house for the past month or so. Well, a few weeks. So I think that this has especially been a period of like, what's the next step? Where do I go from here? What do I want to do? What do I feel called to do? And I also see this as you being someone who is really very dedicated to working consistently at something. And I think this shows your discipline with this Capricorn midheaven being so disciplined. But you see, perhaps you've experienced power struggles, with certain members of authority, thinking about people that you work with, people in positions of command and authority and this type of stuff, okay? But I think at the same time, this is showcasing just, as I say, your discipline and your commitment and integrity, I think, has been a big part of this Pluto transiting your 10th house over the past 16 years. And as Pluto has entered Aquarius recently, maybe your hopes and wishes are really going to change, right? There's going to be something really quite eye-opening. There's a change of perspective, I think, okay? Because we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius along with Mercury, the Mercury conjunction. Pluto's at 0 degrees, by the way. So this conjunction, or these conjunctions, will be extra potent. So Mercury will enter Aquarius this month, actually in a few days, will conjunct Pluto. So this is to do with the mind, it's to do with how you think, new perspectives, right? Innovation, change. Then we also have Mars and then Venus following that path, again pointing toward great change. But then the secondary progress midheaven for you is also in Aquarius. So here's what I think. Your midheaven being in Capricorn, right? Plus Saturn, okay? Saturn is the ruler for midheaven. That's in Scorpio in the 8th. Of course, it's making sextile in the midheaven. So I'm kind of wondering, is it that your vocation or your career path has been greatly to do with, could be surgery, thinking about more medical roles, or looking more toward business, okay? Authority, being in an authoritative role, or working closely or largely with other people's finances, thinking about investments, debt, taxes, this type of stuff, working for the government, working within the public sector, perhaps. But I think as Pluto then starts to move into Aquarius, and with the secondary progressive midheaven being in Aquarius, I think things have started to change for you. And maybe you've been largely thinking about what other options are out there. Maybe there's even a bigger push for things like community, teamwork. And here's the interesting thing about it too. You've went through your first Saturn return, right? So that was a few years ago, right? But then you are experiencing a Pluto square. Okay, so you've got Pluto in Libra, you've got Sun in Libra, Mercury in Libra. This selection of planets in the 7th house in Libra really highlights to me you being really quite gifted at negotiating, compromise, reaching a compromise within business, reaching a settlement, a deal, right? Business. I think this is really looking about securing business deals and being so elegant in doing so. But you see, with especially seeing as Pluto was at the very end of Capricorn over the past year or so, with that square to your natal Pluto, I think this is where we're also seeing these huge shifts, these changes, especially thinking about, okay, career, purpose. It's like, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my life? And we're also going to notice this with the transit of the North Node in Chiron in Aries in your 1st house there. Of course, you have this Aries rising. But you see, I also think that what this purpose element, so basically just to close this off, this purpose element, I think, is so much about this, the Aquarius energy. This is what I'm getting. I'm seeing here with the secondary progressed midheaven being in Aquarius, and then we're also seeing here with the transits coming up, with Pluto entering Aquarius for the next 20 years or so. I think that your shift in perspective is going to be toward community and how it is that you feel part of something that's bigger than you, and innovation. Innovation is a big part of this too. And just to even finish this off, the secondary progressed midheaven is at 12 degrees. So it will begin to make a trine to your North Node in Gemini. And the secondary progressed ascendant is also in Gemini. Oh, okay, interesting. And then, of course, the North Node is making a trine to your Sun in Libra. So I would say, give it a few years. I think in a few years, things are going to really align for you in terms of writing, researching, wanting to relate to people, connect with people, using your skills, right? The skills that you have already acquired when it comes to business and relationships and partnerships and so on. And that can be quite useful. Those skills can be quite useful, and opportunities could very well open up. And just to finish this off, Jupiter is going to enter Gemini June of this year for a year, and then Uranus will also enter Gemini next year, at the end of next year. So keep your eyes peeled, because I think opportunities are up ahead. Okay. So that was yours, Yvette. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Right, so moving on then to Anastasia. Good, I'm glad that it resonates. I hope that you find it to be helpful. Like I said, with these readings, we could go into more detail, but gotta make a reading via my website to do that. Okay, so Let's see. Just give me a moment. Trying to find the location. Oh, you get it? Oh. Hey. Yep. Oh, okay. Anastasia. 10-minute reading. Okay, got it. Okay, so you're wondering how the transits will affect your chart. Gotcha. Transits. Excuse me. Let's do that. Hi, Alexander. Hi. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment for your chart, Anastasia, to just look. And transits. Yeah, I'm gonna just gonna gather some timing technique information to keep me right before we get into it. Okay. And then okay. I'm gonna just set a timer for yours, Anastasia. Okay. Okay, so when we consider transits for you, Anastasia, what I think is actually important to note is that a Mercury retrograde will be happening in Aries. This is going to begin on the 1st of April. Okay, so that'll be for a couple of weeks. And of course, your sun is in Aries, and you also were born during a Mercury retrograde in Aries. So I think that could be quite a notable time when it comes to housing, property, your living situation. And even furthering on from this, things have really quite changed. They've changed for you substantially, I would say, over the years, because the thing is that the second I progressed IC is actually all the way there in Cancer. We also notice that the secondary progressed moon is in Cancer. So there does seem to be pretty major themes coming up here to do with how you live and where you feel safe in this regard. It could be that there's just some rethinking, okay, reconsidering, okay, what about your living situation and how is it that you wish to maybe take action, move forward, initiate, how you can be a leader. Of course, the other thing about it is the secondary progressed Mars is in Aries. Plus, You have the North Node and Chiron in Aries in the 4th right now. So there is going to be this conjunction between these celestial bodies. Well, the North Node is a point, but anyway, this is going to happen throughout February. And I think so for you, what will be quite notable is, thinking more so about really where you feel safe, where you feel secure, and considering, okay, what is the next step and how would you like to initiate? Is there something that you want to bring into being, so to speak? We even think about how Aries can be tied to creation in this way, but there's also a great deal of self-assertion. Now, it could be that there's also fears. There are fears that have been coming up to the surface for you or being felt quite deeply. And so maybe there is a sense of, needing to make a decision. This is what I'm getting from this energy. It's like there needs to be a decision made. But I think with the Mercury retrograde going to happen in Aries throughout April, I think that could be it's more of a time period to perhaps reflect. Then again, because you have Mercury retrograde natally, it's like that could be a time period where you're going to get the answers that you've been looking for. But here's the other thing. Saturn is transiting your 3rd house, right? So 3rd house looks at our immediate environment. It looks at our neighborhood, right? So you have Venus there, and Saturn is right there. It's right on, my gosh, it's right on your Venus. So Saturn, I think, is looking at here a sense of duty and responsibility and considering, okay, what about the long term, right? What about the long term when it comes to your neighborhood, when it comes to that sort of local environment that you are a part of? But I think as well, this is about more so aligning with people in your surroundings in this more compassionate, loving way. It could be that there is a furthering of a commitment, okay, with Venus, of course, being exalted in Pisces there. But then what we also want to consider is Jupiter. We want to look for Jupiter. So Jupiter is in Libra there in your chart, and it's retrograde in the 10th. So perhaps these matters that I talk about, they're tied to, thinking about the long haul, thinking about, more so this 10th house area of like long term, later on in life, considering your purpose as well, and perhaps exploring, right? Exploring something quite new, possibly when it comes to relationships or partnerships in this way, or considering as well your any sort of clients that you've worked with in the past, right? Jupiter retrograde, clients you've worked with in the past, maybe reconnecting, getting together, possibly reconnecting with certain employers, or maybe revisiting an older position. That could be another thing. And what I also want to mention is, well, when we look to this transit Jupiter and we look to Taurus, right? So Jupiter is transiting your 5th house. We also notice that the second day progressed Venus is there, right, with transit Uranus. I'm wondering, Anastasia, what has really changed when it comes to love, children? I'm thinking here, is it that the security or stability has been shaken up quite suddenly? There's been major disruptions, okay? And I'm wondering as well, has your value system been tested? Do you feel like I feel like I'm being tested and nothing's going according to plan? We even see this with this energy with Uranus and Venus opposing the midheaven, right? And then we further notice this with Neptune retrograde opposing this Jupiter energy. I see this as you being at this sort of crossroads, or really strongly having to think about your security and how such matters have been shaken up. And as well, I think this can be quite a like an extreme energy. We even see here that what you are more so feeling drawn toward, or possibly what you're strongly needing with the secondary progressive ascendant and then Jupiter being there, is that of calm, serenity. And the other thing about this is there are challenges. There are challenges because you've got this Aquarius energy with Chiron and Mars and the moon also creating these squares to Uranus and that Venus energy in the fifth. So the second house, fifth house square, I'm just seeing the challenges, the discord when it comes to materials, finances, again, security, earnings, stuff like this. However, this is what I want to say. Pluto has just entered Aquarius recently, re-entered Aquarius. And what's going to happen throughout February is Mercury's going to enter, then so is Mars, then so is Venus. And so all these activations are going to happen in your second house. Okay. So what does this suggest? This suggests you reinventing yourself when it comes to your earnings and your spendings and your materials and so on. This is about innovation. This is about welcoming the new. This is about real change. And the other thing is that as those planets start to move into the sign of Aquarius throughout Aquarius season, they're going to oppose Uranus retrograde in your 8th. So I think that it's really looking at independence. It's really looking at freedom, setting yourself free from perhaps like a shared resource situation or a joint finance situation, maybe something related to, it could be children, love, it could be related to business as well, leadership. Even Pluto is retrograde there in your chart in Leo in the 8th. So Pluto also hanging out there. It's like, I see this as you being, oh my gosh, very, very much in positions where you're the one running the show, right? You're the one who's in charge. And you have so much of this work ethic, this passionate, eager, get the job done work ethic. And perhaps you have been applauded, for such things in your life. And that's the thing as well. There is a grand fire trine between Pluto and Leo, the Aries energy, and then the Saturn energy as well in Sagittarius. So I just see this as you being this very fiery, do not mess with me, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I will get the job done, let's just cut to the chase. This is passion energy, it's bold, and all this mixed with the fact that you have Capricorn rising. Oh yeah, I think you're the person who can be trusted to be in a position of authority, but you're going to do so with great respect. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so like I said, with the Aquarius activations in the second house, keep your eyes peeled. You're also going to be experiencing your Mars return, so that should be one to take note of. But that's your time. Time is up. Give me a moment so I can come out of this. I hope, Anastasia, you find it to be helpful. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Moving. Very interesting. Yep. Fourth house. That fourth house energy. Yeah, and then by the time you turn 66, your seventh house will be activated for that year. It's the house of relationships. So Anyway, so you said he has Mars in Aries. Ooh. Thank you so much for booking. Right, so whoever sent the payment, okay, just want to say to everybody else, we're closed. We're full. We're fully booked. It says in the title. However, okay, Sandra, are you here? Are you here, Sandra? Anybody? Are you in the audience? Oh, I see you actually, Sandra. I see you. You joined a while ago, actually. Okay. Okay. But just to let everybody else know, we are fully booked. We are fully booked. Thank you so much, Anastasia. So, and Sandra, can I ask you a question for just a moment? Where are we? Need to go all the way. Can I ask you a question, Sandra? AM or PM for your time of birth? PM? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Right, so we're moving on to Mark. Happy days. Thank you so much. Mark, let's see. Yes, we are full. We are full. We're full. Really booked. Okay. Right, so Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. We're going to be doing your reading. Thank you so much for booking. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's going to be your birthday soon. Okay. So, you want to know about purpose? Yes, my birthday is on the 8th of February. It's on Thursday. Party, party. Not really. I'm not a big party person. I mean, give me a cup of tea, give me a bun, and I'm happy. Do you know, I remember for my 30th birthday, me and my partner just basically bought a cake and ate it every day over the space of a week. And it was delightful. It was so good. Okay, Mark. I'm just looking at your chart. Okay. So, mm, okay. All right. Right. Okay. So, Mark, you asked about purpose. So, what we want to think about here is the fact that the midheaven is in Cancer, but the North Node is also in Cancer, and then the South Node is in Capricorn. So, let's actually start from Capricorn South Node in the fourth, because what this suggests is that what you're quite comfortable with, what you're quite used to, is that of being the responsible one within your family home, okay? Being the dedicated one, the somewhat more grown up one, possibly. Perhaps being raised in a family environment or in which you did take on a lot of responsibility and you were taught a great deal about how to be disciplined. But you see, whilst such qualities are actually tied to what you can be rather gifted at, there's also something here about being able to move toward this North Node energy of seeing how you can nurture, so to speak, a career path or a position, a role, and possibly taking on a role that, well, it could very well involve being a nurturer, being a caregiver of some kind, or looking here at the likes of, nursing, for instance, or working within a medical profession, possibly working with the elderly, okay, working with children, working with the vulnerable. But there's also, I think, there's something important about welcoming the part of you that can come from a place of empathy and heart and compassion, to come from a place of tenderness. And I also think that this is about your inner security. And possibly too, when we kind of think about this, what I find interesting, right, is so whilst the North Node is in Cancer and the South Node is in Capricorn, the North Node is in the 10th house, which is traditionally ruled by Capricorn. And then the South Node is in the 4th house, which is traditionally ruled by Cancer. So this is really like an excellent example of balance in this case. And so I think for you, this can highlight possible careers or professions to do with property, to do with hospitality or cooking, thinking about chef work, for instance, the culinary arts, for instance. But then what we also want to look at and consider is the moon. We want to look for the moon because the moon will give us more information about the midheaven and the north node. So you have the moon in Gemini, and Jupiter is also there. And what we're noticing from this then is that you are someone who you're so eager to learn. You're so eager to want to know as much as you possibly can about whatever you're interested in. And we even further see this through this Mars and Pluto energy in Sagittarius, where you can be really quite assertive and goal-oriented when it comes to your studies. This is also about gaining strength and power when it comes to knowledge and wanting to as well perhaps spread awareness. So perhaps there is a part of this where it's like you want to let people know, right? You want to make them aware of hidden truths, for instance, or of certain knowledge that can really be very supportive and helpful. And there is this seeking quality, right? With Jupiter and Gemini, you're like seeking, 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 and you're wanting to learn and jump between so many different topics as well, right? You can possibly spread yourself very thin with Jupiter being in Gemini there. But the thing that I'm trying to convey here is just that the desire, the need to want to share, to want to deliver information to others. And that, of course, could then be via a certain trade, sales, marketing, media, technology. You're going to go through your Jupiter return. It's going to be your second Jupiter return. Yeah, your second Jupiter return. And the reason why I'm saying you're going to go through your Jupiter return is because Jupiter is going to enter Gemini in this June of 2024. And it'll be there for about a year. Jupiter travels through each of the signs for about a year. So that Jupiter return plus the ninth house influence, I think, is going to be super eye-opening for you, where perhaps you're going to want to relocate or join a different educational program. You may want to do greater advanced training. But the point being, I think that this energy has something to tell us about the Cancerian energy in the 10th as well. But then even just to kind of finish this off a bit, I want to mention a couple of things. Firstly, Libra rising. Venus is the chart ruler. It's in Aries. It's opposite. Now, Venus, because you have a night chart. Okay, so you have a night chart. Sun is below the horizon. Venus can actually be quite a pleasing, rewarding experience. Suggesting what? Suggesting that this, I think, highlights your ability to make moves, to assert yourself when it comes to business, partnerships, thinking about contracts that need to be signed, agreements that need to be made, being very good at the art of negotiating as well. I mean, even your secondary progressed Sun is there in Aries, plus the secondary progressed Moon, North Node, all of that. But then I also want to mention with this that the secondary progressed midheaven is in Leo. So maybe there's also something here about you wanting to step into a group scenario, a club situation, a group situation that is about creativity and art and entertainment and passion. Maybe that's really what you are attracted to, if you will. You know, maybe that there is a lot of there's a lot of curiosity there going into a creative field. So it's sort of perhaps how you can blend these different areas, you know, finding something that can blend these different parts that I've talked about today. And yeah, I think, of course, things will start to unfold more and more as you start to get older. Of course, I understand you were born in 2001 and your first Saturn return is not until you're around about 28 to 30 years old or so. So you've still a while to kind of, get a sense of, okay, what is it that I feel like I'm being called to do? And maybe that Saturn energy in Taurus in the 8th house is, I think it's communicating a message of aligning yourself with perhaps a pretty creative path, right? Or property, right? Property investments. I mean, could be big money moves when it comes to property and banking, But then do keep in mind a lot of this is going to be online. Okay. A future where we're not going to have any more cash. You see, I think that with Jupiter and Uranus going to transit your 9th house from 2024 2025, Mark, all of this is to say, when it comes to these changes coming up, it's like, yeah, sure, we may agree, disagree. There can be negatives and positives to them. I just think that you're going to have the ability to learn quickly. Okay, I see this as you being that type of person. A new skill, you're like, got it. I think you're a quick learner. But yes, Mark, that was yours. I hope that you find it to be helpful. I hope so. Okay. So now we're moving on to Metal. And you want to know advice of the year. All right. No problem. Cami said that sounds like your 30th as well. I love it. Okay. Metal. Okay. So you want to know about advice for this year. So just give me a moment, Metal, and I will get that information for you. Just need to look up a few timing techniques. Mhm. You're going to be becoming 30? Are you turning 30 this year, Metal? Wow, Mark! Oh my gosh! What? Boom! Nursing! Boom. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Love it. So cool. Well, you know what? Best of luck to you, Mark. I wish you all the best with school. Oh, exciting, exciting. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my tile screen, the screen. Oh, okay. So let's see. Just give me a moment. Ooh, 0 degrees, Aries. Ooh, cool. You were born the very first day of Aries season, Natal. So you want to know advice about this year. So this year, for you, well, let's think about firstly how. So you're going to be turning 30 on the 21st of March. And this then means that your 7th house is going to be activated for your 30th year. And what we want to do is we want to follow the path of Saturn, okay? Because Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius, the ruler of your 7th house. And Saturn right now is transiting your 8th house. In fact, you are going through your Saturn return. So this is quite a pivotal time for you. It's actually, let me see here. Let me just look at the degrees, lean in a little bit. Saturn. Yep. I mean, it's very much, it's here, right? You've got natal Saturn at 6 degrees. Right now, Saturn is at 6 degrees. So I think this is like the big focus to do with purpose, to do with what you want to build, essentially, thinking about integrity, thinking about responsibility. But you see, a lot of this responsibility, if you will, is more so tied to your emotions and your psychology, and more so reflecting, a lot of introspection, a lot of contemplation for you, I think, Metal. This is a lot of this water energy, right? There's Mercury in Pisces, we've got Saturn there, and also Mars. So I think right now, this energy to do with going within, more so thinking about how you can address hidden emotions, repressed emotions. This energy is happening quite strongly for you. This could be quite a sensitive time for you. A lot of emotion coming up. I think for you, Metal, there's a lot that's trying to come up. There's a lot that's trying to come up via your emotions and trying to really make sense of them. Maybe a lot of this is tied to the past, your upbringing, perhaps specifically the relationship that you have or had with your mother, or just thinking about family in general. Reason why I'm bringing this up is because we've got the moon there in Cancer, and it's making this same degree trine to Mars. And this, in a way, I think, can look at how healing your Saturn return can be, or thinking here about what you're really trying to make sense of. And so to bring it back to the 7th house activation, okay, so whenever you do turn 30, the 7th house will be activated for your 30th year. Well, the stuff that I'm talking about that's happening on a psychological level, on a more deeper introspective level, even addressing the shadow in this way, addressing your internal fears, any repressed emotions, inner demons, all this type of stuff, all that stuff, I think is very much heavily tied to how you approach relationships, how you show up within relationships. Here's the thing about it too, is Pluto has entered Aquarius in your seventh. Then we're going to have these activations start February. So February could be this time period of having to really address what's across from you, so to speak. What is opposing you, if you will, when it comes to other people. Thinking about relationships here, and is it that maybe you'll be addressing what's being reflected back to you, what's being mirrored in terms of maybe aloofness or detachment, or there's a great deal of freedom up ahead. I think your 30th year especially, just to take this back, right, just a moment. This stuff that's going to come up in February to do with those activations in Aquarius, okay, that's going to happen then, and before your birthday, and then your birthday is going to happen, and then it's still this continuation, still part of that story, right? So I think basically your 30th year is pulling back all the layers. It's pulling back all the layers when it comes to your relationships. And there's going to be many aha moments. There's going to be many moments of clarity, but also many moments of confusion, like what even was that? What even happened there? But this is a good opportunity, I think. You said about, advice for this year. It's a good opportunity to really kind of see who is there for you, who is there to support you, what types of relationships do you want to have, who is loyal to you. And let's also think about the solar return. We want to think about the solar return in combination with this 30th year. So you've got a Scorpio rising. How interesting. Because when we look back to the natal chart, you have the North Node, Pluto retrograde, and Jupiter retrograde, all in Scorpio in the 4th house. Especially the North Node there. Oh yeah, I think your 30th year is going to be absolutely profound in terms of any power dynamics which exist when it comes to where you live, when it comes to property, when it comes to family. I think it's going to be a year where you're going to be challenged to really evolve, okay, to seek some type of freedom, expansion. And I'm just going to be honest, there could very well be these moments of harsh, jarring power struggles, right? But you see, with Scorpio energy comes power. With Scorpio energy comes resilience. Just to finish this off, Mars and actually Pluto, both the rulers of Scorpio, so with you having a Scorpio rising in this solar return chart, those planets, Mars and Pluto, are both in the 4th, adding more to the relationship story. Interesting. Seeing how your relationships are very much, so how you show up within relationships and the types of people you attract when it comes to relationships. This could be romantic, this could be friendship, this could be business, whatever it may be. Those types of things are very heavily tied to the ways in which you were raised, the ways in which you were brought up. So I think, yeah, it's a good year to just do a lot of inner reflection, trying to make sense of why, asking yourself, why is that? And how is it connected to this? And what's going on here? So yeah, great deal of reflection. But yes, that is yours. Mital, thank you so much. I hope that you find it to be helpful. Mital, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's really, really sad and it's heartbreaking. Yeah. With you, go easy on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, Mital. Yeah. Okay. Shaya. Moving on to Shaya next. Scorpio rising years, Mittal. Oof. They can reshape us. The thing about transformation, the type of transformation that can come with Scorpio is your your whole like psyche, your way of viewing things can be so change so much can change basically in a way where it's like I don't even recognize that older version of me. I really think of Scorpio as the archetype as a snake, and the snake sheds its skin, but the snake it, it grows into a different skin. It needs to move. It needs to change and shift. Okay, so Shaya, sending you love, Mittal. Sending you love. So Shaya. Okay. Okay, and yours is a 10-minute reading, Shaya. Okay, I'm just going to have a look through your chart a moment. And okay. Oh, my apologies. Give me one moment, Shaya. I've went onto the solar return chart. Just give me a moment. Just let me change that. Oh no. Oh dear. Okay. Refresh. There we go. Got it. Got it. There we go. Lovely. Right, I'm just looking at your chart. Saturn, yep. Uranus, yep. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. Actually, I have a question. 2 moments. Shaya, I just have a question for you. So, I want to know, because in the booking form, you said that the 10th house has the Virgo stellium. Maybe that's with a different house system. So I just want to ask you first, before we do this, would you like me to use the house system that shows that for you? Or are you okay with me using whole sign? Because that means then that the Virgo energy is in the 11th instead of the 10th. Okay, we'll go ahead then with whole sign. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's do this then. We will go through yours and just gonna set the timer. Oh, 10th house Virgo stellium, no problem. I'll change it now. No problem. Let's see. Chart selection. Ah, got it. Okay, Placidus. That's how it's showing up in Placidus. Okay, got it. Got it. Just thought I would ask because you did say in your entry form. Okay. Go. Great. There we go. Okay. Just have a quick look then. Okay, we're going to start the timer. Let's go. Right, so Shaya, what is jumping out at me firstly? First thing that is here is the fact that, so you have the Scorpio rising with Uranus also in Scorpio in the first house, and you are about to experience a Uranus opposition. So basically, the Uranus opposition is when the transit Uranus opposes the natal Uranus. And Uranus is their transit in the 7th, along with the secondary progress Venus in the 7th. They are conjunct. And what's going to start to happen is that Uranus is going to get closer and closer to that 25-degree point, over the next year or so. So what's going to come up for you here are these real shakes, these disruptions, these sudden changes, surprises, really the unexpected is going to come up, especially regarding relationships, okay? especially regarding possibly setting yourself free from a particular relationship or wanting greater independence or seeking a an exciting relationship that is so new and it's fresh, or this is about really addressing the ways in which you approach relationships through this lens of stability and security, right? But we are noticing how such matters have been disrupted. Disrupted. But the thing about the Uranus opposition is that it can align, if you will, with a wake up call or with this, what am I doing? What am I doing here? What is my path? What is my direction? What do I want out of life? What is my purpose? So that could be quite eye opening for you and quite profound for you. But the other thing to add to this, which I think is interesting, is the fact that the secondary progressed ascendant is right there with Neptune. It's right there with Neptune in Sagittarius in the second house. This to me is this sort of spiritual awakening energy. This to me is this, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm feeling like I'm called towards something, especially when it comes to finances, earnings, how you spend, thinking also about the ways in which you can dissolve or merge when it comes to these areas. But essentially, I think this is about greater spiritual freedom. And I think that this is about a newfound sense of self, a newfound sense of security, right? And the other thing about this is you have also previously experienced a Pluto square. So you were born with Pluto retrograde there in Libra in the 11th, and then this means that over the past few years, you went through a Pluto square with Pluto being in Capricorn. So we are noticing, I think, in this way, big transformations and renewals tied to your friendship groups, tied to community, tied to your neighborhood, thinking about possibly you relocating in the past few years, or just moving within your local area in this way, or finding new friends, new people to hang out with, new people to relate to. Relationships basically transforming in ways that you never could have anticipated, right? But the other thing I want to mention is the Virgo energy. So like you said, you've got this Virgo stellium in the 10th house, you've got Jupiter retrograde, you've got Mars retrograde, you've got Saturn retrograde as well, all in the 10th. I mean, you are someone who's so devoted and dedicated to your work, to your mission, your life's purpose in this way. And at the same time, this is it's taken quite a while to really sort of think about, what is it that suits me? How do I want to be of service to other people? What is the role? What do I want to take on? How much have I taken on as well? The thing is that, of course, Saturn can look at where we have been restricted, limited, setbacks, hardships, and everything. So maybe with that Saturn energy, it's sort of like, you've perhaps had to really put in the work. You've had to really commit yourself, dedicate yourself to a particular position or role, like a career role, professional role. But maybe it's sort of felt like, in the past, a great deal, it's like, I'm not really getting much from this. And maybe as well, your first Saturn return, which would have happened around by the time you were about 28 to 30 years old, perhaps that was really quite eye-opening for you in terms of opening yourself up to new possibilities and experiences, all these new opportunities, basically, right? Because Jupiter is also there, and Jupiter is also a part of this story. But the point I was trying to make earlier is it's almost like with Jupiter being there as well as Mars, this is overstimulant, overgiving, over asserting yourself, but maybe to the wrong types of people or to the wrong types of roles that don't actually align, with what it is that you really feel or what it is that you really want. And so I think a lot of questions have come up, right, for you, especially over the years, questions about purpose, questions about meaning, questions about belonging. And then the other thing is, of course, looking at the secondary progressed Mars, I mean, that has now entered, let me see, Leo, right? So it's now in Leo. And you've got the midheaven in Leo, and you also have the North Node in Leo. Here, this is the thing. I think that a big part of this 10th house story for you is it's largely to do with how you shine, with how you express your gifts and your talents. It's to do with self-assurance. That Virgo energy, I think, shows a great deal of dedication, yes, and also perfectionism, also thinking about the detail, how thorough you are. You're the type of person who, when there is a task at hand, when there's a job to be done, you're going to go above and beyond, above and beyond. But you see what this can also imply, especially this Mars being retrograde and all these retrogrades, it's like there's so much of this internalizing going on, internalizing perfection, internalizing fear, internalizing, am I good enough? Self-doubt, worry, criticizing yourself. Am I capable? Can I do this? But here's the thing. The North Node in Leo with the midheaven and the secondary progress, Mars retrograde, it's so much about, actually, you know what? I do. I know what I'm doing. I have the potential. I have the skills. I've been practicing my craft for many years, and it's you being recognized, right? Not in this like pretentious way or this forceful, look at me kind of way, but it's more about, I know my worth. I know my worth. And knowing how these things align with, for example, earnings, how they align with rules, opportunities, positions, respect, being respected within a particular position of authority. And what I further then want to look at with this is your sun, okay? Your sun is in Aquarius. So the sun is the ruler of the midheaven, the dispositor of your North Node. And the sun being in Aquarius in the third house really suggests to me that you're the one who has all the fresh perspectives. You're the one who has all the innovation, like at your fingertips, right? Mix that in with Mercury in Pisces, you bring the dream to life. You bring the dream to life. And that even mixed in with the moon being in Scorpio, right? There's even the trine between Mercury and the moon in Scorpio, plus with you having a Scorpio rising. I see this as you knowing like your personal power and feeling like deeply, yeah, I have the ability to make changes. I have the ability to step into positions where I can give direction and where I can be somewhat of a leader, if you will, right? You even have this Aries energy in the 6th house as well, so ruling the 6th house. So we're kind of getting how the Scorpio Aries energy can assist you with the Mars retrograde energy being in Virgo. But back to the Aquarius energy, right? So that Aquarius sun can really indicate that you're so much about progress and change and evolving things and seeing as well what isn't being talked about, right? Sun in the 3rd house, what's not being talked about, what messages are not being said, who isn't being heard, what's the fresh idea, what's the other perspective, how can we see things differently? And then with Pluto, let me just finish that. With Pluto then moving into this Aquarius energy in the 3rd for you, and then with the activations throughout February, I think these are going to be good sort of activation points, right? Where you're going to get these lightning bolt moments, the aha moments, the connecting everything, the seeing everything in a flash, like, wow, But then that mixed with the Scorpio energy, I think even with Scorpio and Aquarius being a part of your big 3, you're someone who is continuously reinventing yourself and transforming greatly. Indeed. Just one more thing though, I really want to say this. You're coming 44. Happy birthday to you. 44 means the 9th house is going to be activated for you. So Cancer is on the 9th, the second progress. Moon has just moved into Cancer as well. There's something here about family and maybe possibly traveling to spend time with family, seeing them more, or creating new sort of traditions with family, or wanting to maybe step into more of like a training program or a course that involves like exploring the past or history, for instance. Yeah, there could be much learning and gaining knowledge during your 44th year. Again, happy birthday. Let's see. Are you gonna let me come out of this? Okay. Yes, fully booked. We are fully booked this evening. Yeah, we are fully booked, Sonic. But I will be back in a couple of weeks. But right now, that is us. So, Brittany, thank you so much, Shaya, by the way. Thank you. Good. Happy to be of service. Okay, so Brittany. We have Brittany and then we have Sandra. And then that's going to be us for this evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for a lovely session. I have felt pretty calm this evening. It's been good. It's been nice to talk to you as well. Nice to chat. There we go. Okay, Brittany. I'm sorry if my laptop is a little bit shaky when I'm typing. It's on a book. It's on a book so that it doesn't overheat. Okay. Brittany. Okay. Just give me a moment, Brittany, so I can look through your chart. Excuse me. Okay. Mhm. Okay, I'm going to set the timer for you, Brittany. Okay. So, Brittany, when we look at your chart, what is jumping out at me is the fact that you are experiencing this first house perfection year. And you have this Gemini rising, you've got Mars in Gemini, and you also have Chiron there. And then we also see here that Mars is opposing Uranus retrograde in Sagittarius, and Saturn retrograde is also opposing Chiron. And then at the same time, you're experiencing a Saturn square because Saturn is currently in Pisces, making a square to your natal Saturn. And then lastly, we also see here that you have a day chart. Okay, so the sun is above the horizon, and Mars then seems to be quite a challenging position for you, and Mars is in Gemini. Okay, so for you, Brittany, we are noticing just how much has been coming through, how much has been coming through to do with your identity and your life path, your aims, your goals, your ambitions, your direction, what you want out of life, how you assert yourself, how you take action, especially considering the ways in which you really, communicating your goals, communicating your wants, wanting to be heard or understood, especially within relationships. But we're noticing the discord. We're noticing the struggle, okay? We're noticing the sudden shakes and disruptions and the surprises and the unexpected that has happened. I would say, especially here, when we think about, so Uranus currently is in Taurus, and it's right there with your sun. It's on your sun, and it's going to gradually start to come up with the Mercury energy. And Mercury is, of course, your chart ruler. And so I think that this is going to it's going to look at a type of awakening, so to speak, or the sudden sort of, what the heck, or a realization, this realization about what am I doing? What is my path? What is my focus? Where do I feel secure? Who do I feel supported by? What about this relationship that I've been in for many years, or the relationship that ended, that was a very long relationship, and you thought that there was a future, and you thought that you'd be together for a long for the rest of your lives, perhaps, thinking about a marriage as well, right? Because of course that seventh house can look at marriage. But I just think it's almost like the rule book, so to speak, like the rule book, that this is what is to be done, and this is what's expected, and this is the path that one must follow. And perhaps such paths are linked to like religion or certain beliefs that you have, etc. But those types of things, I think, especially for you, with them being 36, it's like, this is a year where a lot has just been coming through, a lot has been hitting you in the face, like, what am I doing, and what is the next step, and where do I belong? This could even, of course, be strongly tied to friendship. Okay, this could be it. It could be that these things that I talk about are more so about friendship and community and teamwork and character building and respect and taking the lead when it comes to clubs and groups and friendships and so on. The reason why I'm saying this is because this Sagittarius energy is making these trines, this trine to Venus and Jupiter as well in Aries. You've got the North Node in Aries. You're actually going through your North Node return, or your nodal return, right? And then Chiron is there. And what's this? Chiron and the North Node are right on Jupiter. Jupiter is the ruler of your seventh house. So, I just think this is like a whole new outlook, a whole new perspective, exploring new territories, new opportunities when it comes to community, when it comes to belonging. And this, of course, has required a lot of real heavy, serious decision making. Back to Gemini, back to that Gemini energy of like, who do I align with? What types of people do I want to, build a life with? Who is a part of my tribe? Who are the ones who are there to cheer me on and really support me and lift me up? See, the thing is that you have Jupiter and Venus in the 11th, and with you having a day chart, these planets then can be really quite, well, more so Jupiter, can really be quite rewarding for you. And even Venus is a benefic, right? But basically, all of this is to say is that you're that type of person, I think, Brittany, who is so loyal and who is there to support your friends and to be this team player, but to also know when to lead and knowing when to direct yourself. But the thing is that with Chiron and the North Node right now in Aries, it could be that triggers have been happening left, right, and center. Or it's that there have been some fears to do with belonging in this way, to do with friends. But you do give so much of yourself, maybe a little bit too much. Okay, maybe a little bit too much, maybe too many sacrifices, right, in this way. I mean, you do have the South Node in Libra, and you also have Moon in Libra, and there's the opposition to Venus. So I think what's been coming up for you with your nodal return, it's like give a little, see how things feel. Where am I off balance? Where does balance need to be restored? What should I keep for me? What is the give and take? What is that back and forth? What's the exchange? Especially when it comes to your individuality and your self-expression, your personal identity, and how you feel about those things versus how it is that you show up when it comes to particular groups and friendships and so on. And then the other thing about it, of course, is you can be so charitable and giving and generous. And of course, this isn't to say like, don't be generous, don't be charitable, don't be giving. But I think, but this is what I'm getting from this. Your priorities have changed a great deal over the years. And I don't mean this in a like a super like selfish negative way. I just think that given the fact that the secondary progress ascendant and Mars and Mercury are all in Cancer, I think that this is looking at, yeah, your priorities, your values have changed. And I think a lot of it is to do with family. A lot of it is to do with supporting more people, the people within that close environment, right? A close sort of knit, a close set of people who you trust and who you show your affections toward. I think for you, you really value that closeness, that close, intimate bond. And so, like I say, things perhaps have really started to change over the years for you. But maybe what that can trigger, possibly, if we consider the square, right? The squares to Aries, and even a bit of a T-square going on between the cardinal signs. It's like you possibly feeling guilty, you know? And I know that Neptune is also there. So Neptune is in Capricorn, opposite the Cancerian energy. And sure, yes, the degrees, orbs quite wide and everything, but Neptune retrograde in Capricorn can perhaps point toward these guilty feelings or like people pulling on your heartstrings, right? Or you maybe feeling worried about like, oh, well, when I let this sort of thing go or this relationship fade a bit, or when I put myself first, or when I make changes so that there can be greater harmony so that I feel a bit more settled, it's like, yeah, there could be some of these reoccurring fears and themes coming up and maybe reminding you that perhaps there's something deeper going on. And the thing, of course, about this is look to the moon, secondary progressed moon. That's in Pisces right now. You're going through a secondary progressed moon phase in Pisces, and this is going to happen for another 2 years or so. So that is transiting your 10th house. So a lot to do with purpose and to do with thinking about, accomplishments and achievements and what you want to be known for and your reputation. All this type of stuff is being activated, and I think it's ushering in something very different, and something that's perhaps more holding and supportive, because Saturn is also transiting the 10th house for you. But maybe this is about maturity. Whew, maturity. And the last thing I want to say with this, I think a great deal of the maturity lies in when you take responsibility for other people's feelings, for other people's emotions, so much so that that can sway you and sort of impact your own path. Maybe these are going to be reoccurring lessons and themes that are going to come up and come up and come up over the next couple of years for you, Brittany. Okay, so that was yours, Brittany. Oh gosh, there's so much more I could have said, but I try to get it. I have to get it into that time frame, right? Okay, so lastly, Sandra. Sandra, you're up. Thank you for your patience. Let's see. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Okay, Sandra, I'm just going to look through your chart a moment. Okay. Let's see. Sun. Okay. Uranus. Chiron. Okay. Right, Sandra, we're going to set the timer. Okay, first things first. First thing is first. What I find quite interesting, actually, because we got to address the fact that you said there a moment ago, Sandra, about loneliness. Okay, loneliness. And I'm sorry, of course, I'm sorry to hear that you're experiencing this severe loneliness right now. And the thing is that, so first thing, with you being 48, the first house is activated during your 48th year. And this Cancerian energy has been activated, and Saturn is also there. So Saturn's there retrograde in Cancer and making a trine to the moon there in Pisces. What's Pisces energy? You know, Pisces does look at seclusion. You know, Pisces can look at retreating. Pisces can be more so about just taking some time to unwind, to go within, to do a lot of introspection, contemplation, this type of stuff. And of course, you have both your sun and moon in Pisces, so you're someone who really feels it all. Okay, you can sort of soak up the atmosphere, so to speak. But you see, with the Saturn part of this, I think, yeah, okay, you know, Saturn can indicate, it can indicate loneliness. You know, Saturn can indicate restriction when it comes to the ways in which you show up in the world with this first house activation. And also thinking about restriction to do with how you approach new situations. I do wonder, you know, because we want to kind of explore this and think about why, right? This kind of why and what's led to this point, this type of stuff. And of course, there's only so much time we have to really address this. But the thing is that, you know, it could be that you have felt quite disconnected from other people or fearful, right? Fearful about other people or secluded, sort of separated from other people in this way, sort of like at a distance, if you will. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because the secondary progress moon, keep in mind that the moon is the ruler of Cancer, it's opposite. So it's in this opposite house opposing you in Capricorn right now. And it's eventually going to get stronger as it opposes Saturn. So I think there's a big sort of mirror here, a reflection here of emotional support. Where do you not feel emotionally supported? Where do you feel like you can't really connect? What is it about these perhaps difficulties in relating to other people, connecting with other people? Have there been major sort of restrictions and limitations here? And is it that this is something that you would like to maybe take practical steps toward? You know, Capricorn energy is very much about being practical and pragmatic at the same time. And maybe as that secondary progressed moon starts to really make sextiles to this Pisces energy, perhaps there's going to be a greater sort of calling or a need to want to learn more or share of yourself a bit more in this way, or to maybe come out of hiding, so to speak. But then again, you know, so for example, this could be via travel, right? Via travel, wanting to expand your horizons, so to speak, with Jupiter being there in Pisces too. See, I think with you having Jupiter, of course, Jupiter's home in Pisces, with having so much Pisces energy in the ninth with the midheaven, I think you're so gifted at things tied to spirituality, empathy, compassion, film, art, media. I also think that you're someone who you are quite, as I say, I would say you're quite aligned with your religious beliefs or your spiritual beliefs or your philosophical views. And you can also come across as someone who is really quite soft and patient with other people. But of course, the thing about this is it's like, well, what about the Saturn energy, right? Because Saturn is transiting your ninth house too. And I think Saturn transiting your ninth house and sort of activating all this Pisces energy, yes, Saturn can suggest these limitations, but I think it's also about greater insight into yourself. Maybe this is a time period with Saturn transiting your ninth house, especially over the next couple of years. It is a lot about, okay, going within or trying to make sense of these whys. I was talking about why earlier. And maybe as well, what can you do? Maybe what practical sort of useful steps can you take? The thing is that Saturn, or sorry, my mistake, Mars, the secondary progress Mars is also in Pisces, and Mars is to do with action. Mars is to do with drive. Mars is to do with assertion. However, Venus and Chiron are both in Aries. You're going through your Chiron return. Let me say this, Sandra. Chiron returns. What can happen during Chiron returns? It's almost like our biggest fears, our biggest insecurities, our biggest wounds are sort of being looked at and opened up. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. There's so much here about value and worth. Okay, Venus. There's so much here about relationships and the types of things that you've tolerated within relationships, and possibly as well thinking about matters related to your profession and how you show up there with other people, how you relate, how you connect. Now, what could also come about from this, which can perhaps be really quite healing for you, is you stepping into a role or a position where in which you're the one who is helping other people. You're being this sort of mentor toward other people, you're guiding them. But the thing is that when it comes to Chiron, by helping other people with their own sort of fears and their feelings of inadequacy to do with relationships and asserting themselves and how they show up in relationships, these things can also be really very helpful and healing for you. Okay, when you sort of help other people, it's like that can be so incredibly healing for you. So, I think there is that part, but I think at the same time, it's creating this space of softness and tenderness and being kind to yourself, right? And of course, Chiron and the North Node are not going to be in this position forever, right? Things are going to move, things are going to change. And eventually, this energy is going to go into the 11th house, for example. So Chiron, I mean. And then as well, the North Node is going to go into Pisces. So that's going to happen much sooner. North Node is going to move into Pisces the end of 2024. And there are going to be eclipses that are going to open up in Pisces, activating what? Your ninth house, your third house, suggesting what? I think that what's up ahead for you, Sandra, is that of greater self-discovery, greater exploration, greater freedom. The North Node, especially on that Jupiter energy, it's going to be so uplifting, I think. Stay with me here too. You have a day chart. Jupiter indicates a very pleasing experience. So the North Node gonna activate this Jupiter energy for you. Yeah, I can just see this as you becoming so much more in tune with eager feelings, excitement, wanting to explore, wanting to try new things, and possibly, like I was saying earlier, this whole thing of travel, or wanting to learn something completely new, wanting to expand on your knowledge and your wisdom, or going on a spiritual retreat, or meeting people who you can really relate to, who you vibe with in this way. Okay, and the last thing I want to say about this is we want to think about how Pluto has entered Aquarius, and so it's entered your 8th house, and then there's going to be these activations throughout February, and you're also going to go through your Mars return and your Mercury return. So with the Aquarius energy in the 8th, I think that can be really very eye-opening and transformative when it comes to community and togetherness, when it comes to belonging. Now, of course, this energy will also make these oppositions to the Taurus energy in the 11th house. And we also see you've got Uranus transiting the 11th. Your secondary progressed Mercury's there, secondary progressed Sun is there. So I just think there's let me finish. I think there's something here about you wanting so badly to feel like you're a part of something, right? But it's also looking at these disruptions and these challenges to do with how secure and settled and grounded you are. Okay. And maybe this can indicate something really quite exciting, but it's also about how is it that you step into a new way of being in this regard. Of course, it's about, I think, largely to do with taking the leap. And the other thing I just want to finish off by saying is when you turn 49, your second house is going to be activated for that year. So do follow the path of the sun where it is. But if we think about how the secondary progressed sun is in Taurus there, I think that that could be where what you're going to want to aim toward a great deal is that of finding people who do align with you in a secure way, in a comfortable way, people who align with your values, let's just say. Okay, Sandra, so that was yours. Again, so much, when I looked at that chart, I was like, there's so much more I could say, trying to get it into 10 minutes. So yes, that is us, everybody. That's this evening's session. It's been 2 hours. Actually, good time. That's us. Thank you so much, Sandra. Yes, like-minded people. Like-minded. I wish you all the best during your Chiron return. Yeah. So thank you so much to everyone who booked this evening. It was a pleasure to read your chart, and these readings, they're quick, 10 minutes. But if you do wish to book a reading with me, this could be a pre-recorded reading. It can also be a live reading. But if you do wish to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. I also have practical astrology guides and eBooks and cheat sheets and all the rest of it. So you can find all of these on my website. And I also have a Patreon if you're interested in keeping up with your daily forecasts. PDF guides are also available there. But thank you. Thank you for joining in today. Thank you for booking. I hope that you all benefited from your reading and you find them to be helpful. Thank you, loved by some. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sandra, again for booking. And thank you to everyone who did book today. Have a great weekend, everyone. And take care.